Welcome back to British Stand. We have got some footage from today of Nigel Farage being asked about Tommy Robinson's prison conditions, and actually, for a change, didn't quite bury him into the ground as he usually does. This time, actually, he did come out and speak out and did state that the way that he's being treated in prison at this moment in time is not right, which makes a change for the previous sort of interviews that we've seen publicly. He did, of course, couldn't resist a sly little dig in regard to his criminal background as such, also stating about that. He also said that he doesn't hate him, by the way. So we're going to be reacting to that footage, of course, in today's live stream, whilst also going through some of the big reform news that came out today with regard to Nigel Farage, of course, taking a step back in terms of as an owner of the party. So yeah, quite a lot on the reform space, a lot on the Nigel Farage space. So yeah, in today's live stream, we'll discuss all of that. But first, guys, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get involved in the live chat. I'll be taking your reaction to this a little bit later on. So Tommy Robinson, we spoke a lot about him on the channel. Of course, his current situation in Woodhill Prison is something of, quite frankly, disgusting from the British justice system. Currently in solitary confinement. The latest updates, of course, stated that he's banned from ordering food. He's been living off tin food for much of his days. In solitary confinement in itself, 23.5 hours a day. Most recently, he's been banned from watching GB News for no apparent reason. And of course, has been banned from seeing his sort of family members as well, which quite frankly is absolutely disgusting considering his charge. He's of course in prison for a contempt of court charge. Now, there has been a lot of silence with regard to this from sort of politicians, except from Rupert Lowe. Rupert Lowe recently came out, spoke about the situation, and did state that, well, in fact, I'll read the exact tweet that Rupert Lowe said. He came out and stated, whether you agree with Tommy Robinson's politics or not, he deserves to be treated humanely in prison with reasonable food, visits, and support. I will write to the Ministry of Justice asking to ensure that a fair approach is being taken. I mean, there's nothing more from it on that regard just yet with regard to what Rupert Lowe said. However, this video has emerged just hours ago of Nigel Farage being asked about Tommy Robinson's and the prison situation. Have a watch.
Mr. Farage, I'm from the UK. Hello, I have a question for you. Rupert Lowe says you don't have to hate Tommy Robinson because he's exposing a lot of grooming gangs. So what's your point on that? Because you question sometimes his criminal record on TV.
Well, he's got a very long criminal record. I don't hate him. And by the way, he shouldn't be, whatever I think of him, he shouldn't be in solitary confinement. I hear he's in very bad conditions, and, and that's not right.
Yeah, he is allowed to see his ex-wife and
yeah, that's not right.
Thank you.
So a very short and sweet interview there, I suppose, with Nigel Farage. But does make a little bit of a change. Whilst it doesn't say that, of course, he didn't really praise him or anything like that. He did speak out and said that his current prison situation and the way he's currently being treated in prison is not right, which is quite big for him, considering their previous history and previously what he's been speaking about. So some would say in terms of the reaction, this is something a bit different, and at least he's coming out and speaking about the wrongdoings that are happening at this moment in time. But still, there needs to be a lot more done with regard to the Tommy Robinson situation because it seems to be getting worse before it gets any better. And it seems as though there has been a complete silence on the fact with regard to sort of politicians and the way over the way that he's being currently treated, which is absolutely disgraceful. The latest update we stated that was a petition as such, of course, going to the UN, looking to try and get the UN involved. However, there is no further update with regard to that in terms of Tommy Robinson's situation. But yeah, we'll keep you informed if there is any further updates with regard to his treatment in prison. Now, moving on to some more sort of Nigel Farage news with regard to reform. Nigel Farage, of course, hours ago it had been announced that Nigel Farage has taken a step back as the owner of the party as the new constitution has come into force. Farage will remain as party leader. However, the party is now a non-profit with no shareholders. According to Companies House filings, the existing Reform UK Party Limited, which was owned by Farage and Richard Tice, will be taken over by a newly registered business called Reform 2025 Limited. The new entity lists Farage and party chairman Zia Youssef as directors, but has no person with significant control, which this is absolutely huge and obviously something they're doing to gear themselves up for 2029 in terms of the general election and of course to be taken serious. Zia Youssef came out and said this about it. He said, "We are pleased to announce that as promised, Nigel Farage has handed over ownership of Reform UK to its members. Reform UK is now a non-profit with no shareholders, limited by guarantee. We are assembling the governing board in line with the constitution. This was an important step in professionalising the party. We will soon have more exciting announcements about Reform UK as we prepare for government." Key bit there at the bottom, the last bit he said there, Zia, saying that they're preparing for government. They're a party that, of course, are taking this very, very seriously. And the polls suggest at this moment in time, they could be in with a very, very good chance of winning a general election come 2029. So, some big stuff there with regard to Nigel Farage today. Of course, we've covered two things. Him responding and coming out and saying that Tommy Robinson's treatment in prison at this moment in time is not right, and also has took a step back as the owner of Reform, does remain the party leader. Now let's take some of your guys' reaction in the live chat with regard to both of these situations. Of course, I do want to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the Tommy Robinson situation, especially with Nigel Farage coming out. What do you make of his words? And do you see that as a step forward as such? Again, let me know down there in the live chat. I did see a super chat. Thank you so much for your donation, Killer Kriegsman. He says, donated £2 and says, great work. Thanks for the update. I'm still trying. I'm still fairly new at this live stream sort of stuff, guys. So we'll get better as time goes on. But thank you so much for your support recently. It's been absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for your generous donation. Let's go through some non-super chats to see what everybody else is saying. Now, Brian Fay says, Tommy Robinson should have never been sent to prison in the first place for telling the truth. Starmer needs to hold accountable for this and the death of Peter Lynch and all of the other political prisoners. Quite frankly, there are still a lot of political prisoners currently in prison within the United Kingdom at this moment in time. But quite frankly, whether that's going to see if people are going to be released or not, at the bare minimum, I would love to see Tommy Robinson start to be treated humanely and not inhumanely, because quite frankly, it's an absolute disgrace. Now, of course, I shared a story earlier on today with regard to a Syrian asylum seeker that, of course, was found guilty of sexually assaulting a girl, a teenager, and of course, apparently, due to his human rights, he's not allowed a custodial sentence. So yeah, make that make sense. It's always very, very worrying, and how our justice system operates within the United Kingdom. I really, really despise it, and quite frankly, I don't have a clear picture on how it works. How does an individual who's been found guilty of sexual assault not going to be getting a custodial sentence due to his mental health and due to his PTSD disorder from treatment back in Syria? How does that warrant not being able to serve a sentence in a general population prison due to his PTSD within the United Kingdom? It's not like we're torturing the guy here in the United Kingdom. So I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. Debbie says, Nigel Farage only talking because of Elon Musk. Well, to be fair, I mean, again, look, Nigel and Tommy are always going to have this beef between each other. It seems like that's never, ever going to mend itself as such, in terms of they're never going to be on the singing of the same hymn sheet. They're never going to come together as a unity as such. But, you know, Nigel, regardless of what Elon Musk has said with regard to Tommy Robinson, he's always kind of stayed on that factor. However, used his screen time when asked about Tommy Robinson to put him into the ground at every single moment, and never really stood up for him whatsoever. Now, today's interview didn't necessarily, I say interview, clip, whatever, doesn't necessarily stand up for Tommy Robinson, but one key thing he did do was say that his treatment in prison at this moment in time is not right, which is a big step forward, because there's not a lot of people in high positions as such speaking about the way he's being treated in prison at this moment in time. So at a bare minimum, it's good to see that at least he's called it out and said that it's not right. And at least that's something. Again, I don't care if they're not so much on the same hymn sheet as such, they're going to come together. But the fact that he's calling out what is absolutely wrong and absolutely disgusting, and calling it out is a step in the right direction with regard to Farage. David Smith says if it wasn't for Tommy, Reform wouldn't have 5 MPs in Parliament and over 4 million votes. Again, yeah, I mean, the way, I think, the way, if you look at it for Reform at this moment in time, of course, you know, what this was built on was the movement, everybody that's tuning into these chats, people that, of course, turn up to Tommy Robinson's parades. They are a big part, or you guys are, we are all a part of a big reason as to why Reform did get those MPs within Parliament. So there's no reason why they should be turning their back on these people. And again, I do think Rupert Lowe is that sort of bridge, and does kind of course, stop the beef from happening a little bit. And to be fair, yeah, I like Rupert Lowe. Rupert Lowe's a good guy, to be fair. Rupert Lowe is a really, really good guy. We've got another donation. Thank you so much, Clipper. I don't know what that currency is, ARS, but 100 ARS. Thank you so much. It says, Nigel is trying to win over the voters him and Tice have scared off due to their hatred of Tommy and his followers. Again, I like the way that Rupert does come out, though, in terms of he stands up for the movement. He stands up when he was asked about the British Patriots, of course, on standing up for Tommy Robinson. Most recently in London a couple of weeks ago, he spoke about how it was a great display. And at every turn, really, he has been tweeting about Tommy Robinson and stating whether you like him or not, the way that he's being treated in prison is inhumane, and is looking at least to try and do something, whether it's writing to the Ministry of Justice and all of these kind of things. At least he's doing something on that fact. But with regard to Nigel, I don't think those ties will ever sort of mend as such. He's got his opinion on him, but of course you don't want to divide the right as such. You don't want to divide this movement, because it's very, very powerful when united together. You know, you don't want to have conflicts within the same, when everybody wants the same sort of thing. That's conflicts for having over your rival parties and all of these kind of things. So yeah, I don't like the way that sometimes Reform Reform, Nigel, Tice, alienate people that are supporters of Tommy Robinson. That shouldn't be the case, but again, we've started to see maybe Rupert Lowe being that sort of bridge. So we'll see as time goes on. But thank you so much for your donation there, my man. Clipper says Argentinian dollars. Nice one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that donation. Great. Are you from Argentina? Nice. Interesting. I've been there. It's a very nice country. Buenos Aires is a beautiful city. If you ever get the chance to go, it's really nice. It's like almost European style within South America. Really, really nice place. I do like it. What's happening here? Dab says, the question is, who is giving the orders for Tommy's treatment? I have absolutely no idea. Again, if we knew that, then it would probably make things a lot easier, and I would understand what the heck is actually going on. But, of course, again, we don't know where these orders are actually coming from. Who's the person pulling the strings? Who's the person trying to tell him that he has to take GB News out of his cell as such? You know, that was a very particular thing that was taken out of his cell or restricted him to watching. If you're going off Tommy Robinson's, of course, admin team, the people that are controlling his account, the people that are close to him, these are the updates that they've been feeding his supporters, been updating the people that, of course, they've been doing these weird things like cancelling or taking out GB News out of his cell, which is a very in particular thing, isn't it, right? British Tragedy says, Nigel could bring legal prosecution against the current party for Tommy's treatment, but he isn't doing that. To be fair, with the thing with what Rupert said, I don't know, you could say if that's a publicity stunt as such, I don't know. I don't know whether he's written to the Ministry of Justice, as he said in his tweet 4 days ago, but nothing has certainly come of it. But with regard to Tommy's situation in itself. There has, of course, always been this thing with regard to Elon Musk's legal team. That was announced by Tommy Robinson's team, 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. They were stating that Tommy Robinson was going to be receiving Elon Musk's legal team to help him out of his prison situation, of the way he's being treated in prison at this moment in time, and also helping him out on a suspected terrorism charge or whatever it was. But there's nothing really come from that. I mean, especially a month later, he's still in solitary confinement, 23.5 hours a day, and it seems like the situation is just getting worse and worse. So my questions that I constantly raise is, where's Elon Musk's legal team that was said that was going to be happening as well? It just doesn't seem to be. Nothing's really come of it. And again, that wasn't sort of stuff that was just spread by the MSM. That was stuff that actually came from Tommy's team themselves. And I think even Elon Musk maybe responded to something. But again, nothing really. No further updates with regard to it, which I find fairly weird. Especially the way that he's being treated at this moment in time. Can Rupert Lowe now help Tommy? I mean, no, I don't think he has the power to take him out of solitary confinement, of course, but he said he did. I mean, I can read the tweet again that he said 4 days ago. Literally, he wrote it 4 days ago. It's out there, you can see. He said, whether you agree with Tommy Robinson's politics or not, he deserves to be treated humanely in prison with reasonable food, visits and support. I will write to the Ministry of Justice asking to ensure that a fair approach is being taken. But there is no update on that, and to be fair, Rupert Lowe doesn't necessarily have the powers as such to stop this as such, but he can go up the food chain, if you like, and make it a little bit better for him. But yeah, any more chats? Oh crap. I think my laptop's bugging out a little bit when I'm live streaming, lagging a little bit. Dazman says, Dan, I think we all know who is pulling the strings regarding Tommy Robinson. Again, I don't want to name names. But I think I'm on the same page as you, Stuck Farmer. It's absolutely disgusting what's happening to Tommy. Yeah, it absolutely is. But guys, let's carry on this conversation in the comment section below. I think my laptop's bugging. I'm getting an encoding overload warning on my streaming software. But thank you so much for tuning in. Do let me know your thoughts with regard to Nigel Farage and what he said with regard to Tommy Robinson earlier on today. Let me know your thoughts with regard to reform in general and the news with regard to Nigel taking a step back as ownership. Let me know in the comments, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, look after.